and our predicted group mean is equal or approaches to the estimated mean of group means over all groups. Here we have few examples. In the first example, we look at the model of example 2.1, where mu hat was 12.30, sigma squared b was 4.94 squared, and the residual variance was this. And then we consider a sample plot where the randomly selected one single tree had a height of 17 meters, and using these estimates and observed value in the empirical best linear unbiased predictor, the predicted mean height was this for this particular plot is 15.89 meters, and it is the formula is shown here. So we are taking the weighted mean of this mu and this observation of 17 meters, and now because sigma squared b is higher than the residual variance, we are even using only one observation per group, we are having a prediction that is closer to this 17 meter value than to the value of 12.30, which is the mean of group means. Then let us take another example. The mean in this part, we still consider the same variance component model, and now the mean height of the 20 trees in plot 1 was 12.56 meters, and the observed difference between the y bar and mu is 0.26 meters. Empirical blob is very close to this effect because we have so high number of trees in the plot. And here we see how this can be computed manually. And here is the value from the manual calculation. We see that the same value was obtained by using this runf command for the fitted model. Then let us take an example not about the variance component model, but about the model where we have random intercept and slope. We already had a very simple example of this kind of model, but now this example illustrates how we could utilize this estimated variance covariance structure in the data to make prediction for a new group that was not existed in the modeling data. So we assume that we have this kind of model estimated with this kind of estimate for the matrix D star, and this here is our estimate for the empirical variance of the data. And then we assume that we have two heights observed, three heights for they have been observed for these diameters, and these three heights have been observed, and then we would like to estimate the local height diameter curve for this particular plot using only these two observations. So now we have two observations, and based on that we are going to adjust the two parameters of the regression model for this particular plot in question. Now this local model in the transformed scale is shown in the left subplot of figure 2.6 using the thin line, and then the right subplot shows the same information after back transformation to the original height diameter scale. And this means that we are just using the estimate of beta in the nonlinear Nessel's model, or actually beta plus bi in the Nessel's model. But as you may remember from the first week's lectures, this kind of transformation leads to bias in y, and then you could probably fix that bias if this is a problem. This is now outside the scope of this course, but those of you who are interested, you could probably look at how this how this bias correction could be done for this particular model. We don't go to these details, and this bias correction is not the core of this course. Just you can recognize that if we fit this kind of linearized model, then and if you want to get something that is unbiased in the original scale, then you need to do some kind of bias correction. But as I said, we will not focus on that. We just look at the resulting graph here. So here, this on the left-hand side graph, this shows our fitted line based on the fixed part of the model, and then these two dots show our observation, and now this thin line here shows our predicted line for this particular plot. Now we see that this predicted line is somehow between the population level line here and the two observations of this particular group. And then if we want to go to the original scale, so if we make the back transformation on the right hand side graph, we see that this thick line here is our fixed, so on this course we can forget these bias corrections. And look at these dashed lines, so we see that this line here would be our prediction based on the fixed part, and then when we calibrate it, we get the one that is the dashed line here. And again, also in this scale, the fitted lines are between the population level line and the observations of that two observations of the group.